Hi, today I'm going to be talking with you about the 6 different common ways that we tend to deal with stress. Now, when I talk about these things, it's not like there's one right way to be, and some of these are bad and some of these are good. They all have very adaptive things that can be useful, and all these ways that we deal with stress also can shoot us in the foot and make life really difficult. So the key is to be aware of what your natural tendency is, and not to try to change who you are, but to work with your natural tendency in terms of how you deal with stress so that you can use your preferences in a skillful way because you're aware of them and you're purposeful in how you're managing your own natural ability to deal with stress. So, the first 3 things that you've probably heard of are fight, flight, and freeze. So the fight we typically sort of stereotypically see in men, but that isn't necessarily true, but that's the stereotype, especially because in our culture, fear is not something that's an okay feeling for men to have, but anger is. So oftentimes when there's a fearful feeling come up, men and oftentimes women will cover it up right away with anger. So there's the fight. And sometimes the fight response is the most appropriate response because it can save your life. So again, it's not that there's a right and a wrong. It depends on how you use it and when you use it and if it's working for you or if it's causing more problems. And the second thing is flight. And that is when we run away because we just get away from the situation as soon as we can. And that's mentally and or physically. So it's obvious with running away and getting out of an environment that you just cannot tolerate physically being anywhere that feels threatening. But also we mentally can run away and detach and not be in the room or not be present because we have left emotionally. And the last one, or the third one, is freeze. And that is if you're the kind of person who gets paralyzed, rather mentally, your mind just goes completely blank or your body freezes up when you're under stress, then the freeze response may be your natural tendency. Now, the other 3 we haven't heard of as much usually, and that is appease, tend, and befriend. So appease means that your response is to try to make the people around you happy and make things okay. Maybe you take extra maximum personal responsibility for what happens. I mean, you do things that are going to try to appease the people around you to help lower the level of stress. The next one is tend. And that is a nurturing, and just like the fight is sort of the stereotypical male response, tends to be more of a stereotypical female response, and that's reaching out towards others, nurturing and caring for those. And hopefully it also means doing that to yourself and having some compassion and taking good care of yourself and tending to your own needs. So if your instinct is to respond with kindness and concern and empathy, probably the tending is your first default when you're under stress. And the last but not least is befriending. And the befriending is different than appeasing. Befriending is somebody who really uses their high level of social skills to really reach out and connect with others. Maybe it's somebody who cracks a joke to break the tension in the room. Usually these people who are befrienders, that's even a word, I don't know. A befriender is somebody who is kind of charming and can bring levity to a situation that other people might find really uncomfortable. They usually have a good sense of humor, and they're good at seeing the good in other people and recognizing that and helping other people to feel connected during tough times. So pay attention to what your natural tendency is towards these kinds of ways of dealing with stress. And you're not just going to have one, but you'll probably have one that is primarily your natural default. So you're not trying to change your nature. You're trying to work with your nature, but in a conscious way that can help you manage your stress and anxiety a little bit better. So once you realize which one is your primary coping mechanism, then the next step, which is a whole nother video, is to go through and help identify what are the things about this, my nature, and how I deal with this that can be skillful in the way that I deal with stress. I hope this was helpful.